All right, another episode of Conversate After Dark. Tay, what's up with you?
Everything's good with me. What's going on with you?
It's all good. It's all good. Tell people where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you have a comment, question, or you want to be a guest on the show, reach us at CVAD the podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. You want to be a guest on the show? You can be anonymous. You can be off camera. We're just trying to have a little bit of fun. But our guest today is Bout It. His full name, full location. Our brother D from Jersey. D, what's up with you, man?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. So go ahead and kick it off, Tay.
Okay, so before we start every show, we have an icebreaker that we do. We have conversation cards. I have 3 categories. I'm going to let you choose the category, but we're all going to answer the question. So I have extreme personal questions, who's the biggest pervert, and the Sexy 69 After Dark.
Ooh, who's the biggest pervert? Of course.
There you go, my dude.
Why we like that one?
We do this every show, and I'll be like, man, I hope they pick the biggest pervert. And that's me.
Ooh.
Oh shit.
Has your image ever appeared on an adult site?
I'm gonna say not to my knowledge, but it has gotten back to me several times that it has appeared in many women's group chats.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. We gotta come back to that one. we're gonna come back to that. I'm gonna say no. I definitely, yes, I have seen news, so I'm sure they've been shared, but nah, I ain't on no adult site, you know. Shit. I'm good, but I ain't that good. So they ain't putting me on no adult unless they like a chubby fetish site, you know what I mean? Then I'm on there.
Oh gosh, I wish I had chosen a different question for this one.
Look, you see how we looking at the camera?
So years and years ago, there was this site called Nude Africa.
I remember that.
Yes, it's an old site. And anonymously, I was on there.
Okay.
So, no face.
Okay.
Slimmer me.
Okay. What search name word should we use?
Again, anonymously, I'm not saying.
Okay.
So you said, man, you've been on some sites, man, or your shit been shared? Like, what's up with that, dog?
Well, I'll put it like this. So a lot of people that are familiar with my page know that I'm very open sexually. Okay. For me, it's not about sex being a taboo, anything like that. It's more about breaking down the walls of what society holds to be taboo. And one of the main things I feel like needs to be broken down is this, mystification of treating women like they're not human beings, right? So when it comes to like me sharing my image, I feel like, it's cool because it's like, hey, if women do it, I could do it. But I want to make sure there's like a safe space in order for it to happen. You know what I mean? So I'm totally cool with it as long as there's consent involved.
Did you consent?
I actually didn't in a few cases, but it is what it is. Once it's out there, it's not yours anymore.
That's true. That's true. So you say you want to break down things that are taboo. Explain that a little bit more.
All right. So one of the things I've been working on since 2013, and I'm not going to get too deep into the structure of it, but I've been working on a set of projects that have allowed me to create spaces that allow women to be on equal footing with men when it comes to spaces that deal with sexuality. Okay. So, and a lot of times when you're dealing with and also engaging with people in what we call the regular world, right? A woman has to behave a certain way, or she's branded or labeled a certain thing. Men can behave a certain way, or they're branded or labeled a certain thing. It's less about them being demure, but more about them more being aggressive. Women have to be demure, or otherwise you're branded with the scarlet letter. What I do is I kind of flip that on its head, and I set the stage for everything that's about to happen before it does. And I'm like, look, women, you are 100% allowed to be human beings in this space. You want to burp, you burp. You want to do something else, you do that. I don't care. But guess what? for this weekend, for this time period, or whenever you're in my space, whether it's something I'm doing commercially or whether it's something I'm doing socially or just one-on-one with people, I tell women, look, you can let your guard down. You could put those sweats on. You could, feel as comfortable as you want to feel. But when it comes to anything else, I want you to know you don't have to ever wonder or think what's on my mind. Am I going to think a certain thing about you? Am I going to feel a certain way if you do something? You're human. Speak how you want to speak, do what you want to do, and go after what you want to go after. And I try to make sure that not only it's a safe space for that, but also too, that it's an inviting space and not a trap. Here's one good example. A lot of guys fuck up. And I said F word and I didn't. Okay. A lot of guys fuck up.
Cuss, dog. We just, it's
Yeah.
that one word we don't use.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of guys really mess up when they're online, right? And they say, oh, she a hoe. She fucked on the first night. But then they turn right around and then they try to holler at a girl and they get mad when she don't want to have sex with them. Sir, what do you think the reason as to why she is not fucking you on the first night is? She literally saw in your own words that you called a woman who is the same as her, same human being, a hoe, just because she had sex with somebody on the first night. So what do you think is about to happen to you? So generally speaking, man, I'm gonna need us as brothers to kind of like sharpen up when it just comes to the logistical part of this stuff and really be more, just a little bit more sharp when it comes to like understanding women are literally out here looking, reading, and like taking notes of every single little thing that we say out there and actually treating each of us on different footing because of it. You want to know why big dick bastard out there in that girl's drawers every other night, whenever she want to do something, get some bedroom bully? It's because he's not judging her. It's because he's giving it to her right, and it's because he's treating her exactly how she wants to be treated, and he's keeping his mouth shut. Now, the other dudes who got to wait 90 days, 180 days, or whatever else, that's why that's happening too, because your own words have sentenced you to that prison.
That's true. Now we're all around the same age, I want to say, I think. And I know a lot of guys our age and older don't think like you. So how did you come to this type of thinking?
Honestly, I've always kind of been a little bit different. I think it was because when I was a little bit younger, um, I didn't really have a traditional like a traditional upbringing. I came up on the islands and I just saw a lot of stuff around me. And I'm an extremely logical person. So I just wanted to make sense of everything that's happening. So coming from the islands, I'm a very, 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 very religious person, right? So I followed all the rules, did every single thing I was supposed to do, right? But then once I got married really young, a certain situation happened. And that opened my eyes to like, look, just because you do everything the way they say you're supposed to do it doesn't mean life is going to respond the same way. So I just said, you know what? Screw that. How about I go ahead and just flip this around and start trying everything and exploring everything? Now, I always used to think beforehand, hey, treat this woman like a human being, treat that Mexican like a human being, treat this other person from, insert X category of person that's being treated a certain way like a human being. And I always used to just fight with my spirit. So when it came to when it's time for me to really let go of all of the, all of society's rules, I started realizing, man, a lot of women are really responding to the fact that not only I'm being honest with them, but I'm being open and I'm being truthful. And then when it comes down to it, even if it's not sexual, just me being a friend, listening, being that shoulder for them to lean on, and then not coming at them in a certain way, or even in some circumstances, could lay in a bed nude with them and not even do a darn thing, right? I have people that have literally told me, hey, I'm so thankful that you treated me like a human being. I'm so thankful that we were able to do that and, you didn't try something, but then on the flip side, there's other people that are like, hey, I can't wait to see you again. I'm good for the week, but guess what? When can I see you again? Blah, blah, blah. So it's just really, you got to take it as it comes. Every single person is different and you never want to take one brush and just brush it across the entire landscape of women the same way. Everyone's different. Everyone likes different things.
So you still married, or you single? What's your status?
Oh no, I am actually in a polyamorous relationship right now. I've been openly poly, in a very ethical, non-monogamous situation. Wow, for the over past 10 years.
Okay.
And for me, my poly is obviously different from everybody else's poly because
I
essentially,
think everybody poly's
yeah,
different.
everybody poly is different. Yeah.
Poly's different.
So essentially, I have a max of 3 energies that I want to kind of be in my cycle at one time.
Yeah.
And I don't want a polycule bigger than that. I've done big numbers. I'm not interested in that. I want to be able to focus and build and have a situation where we're all growing together. But I've had one main person in that polycule, even from way back, um, for ever since I got divorced. And it's been great.
Let me ask you this, man.
So
So you said you got a max 3 energies. I definitely
yeah,
understand that, because it could be a lot, right?
yeah.
And a brother with a mindset like yours, women are going to be attracted to it because
Unfortunately,
they feel safe.
yes.
They feel safe,
Yeah.
right? They feel safe. They feel secure. They don't feel judged. All the things that you talked about. Now, hopefully, I don't get you in trouble with this, or maybe you said, "Nah, man." But I just better ask the question: is there a hierarchy in the 3 energies that you have, 3 women that you have? Is this like, hey, this is my main babe, and then these are my 2 other partners, man, that are special to me, but this one right here has a little bit more has veto power, or has more say so than the others? How's yours work?
Okay, so I practice what is basically called kitchen table poly, right? So everybody
They
sits
all know each
around.
other. Yeah.
Essentially, no, yeah, they all know each other.
Okay.
Okay. Now, because they know each other doesn't mean they interact. Okay. Being in a polyamorous polycule does not mean that we're having threesomes at all. That just means that they are aware, they know, and they understand. Okay. So essentially everybody's on equal footing. Obviously, the lady that's been around for the most time is the most trusted, right? But as far as like what's going on, if she wanted to have a relationship with another woman, great. That's her relationship though. I'm not in that. That's between that person and that person. If I, brought in another person, I would discuss it first and we'd have a conversation. And then, we would kind of move forward accordingly. For the purposes of this interview, I will let it be known. One of the most exciting times I did have was when the lady I just spoke about and I were in a relationship with another couple. Okay. And that was interesting because obviously the guys, we never interacted, but the 2 ladies would interact, and that's their own relationship. Me and my girl would interact, that's our relationship. Me and the other girl would interact, that's our relationship, right? And then the guy sometimes with my girl. And those are what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relationships.
Mhm.
And none of them ever intersect. So, it's really interesting when you think about the poly dynamics, because you're building together, you're growing together. Um, ethical non-monogamy has its place. And, it's really cool, sometimes when you see it done right.
Yeah, I think it's hard for a lot of people to do it right, because some people just have an issue with being completely honest,
Hmm.
not only with the person or people that they're with, but with themselves as well, in terms of what they can handle, what they can't handle, being able to communicate that to the people that they're with. So you mentioned sometimes your lady with the other guy. So you're not that type of dude that has the OPP, one penis policy. Like if one of your
Not at all,
around
man.
with another guy, you're secure enough to, hey, that's your thing, right?
At the end of the day, man, I got a double-digit dick and I don't care about any other dude walking this planet.
Okay.
Okay. So you got that BDE going on. I get it. I
It
feel it.
is what it is.
So how did you come to be in the polyamory world?
Well, it was actually, around the time my marriage ended, I was always someone that was like, I care more about your feelings than, really mine. So, and when I say yours, I mean my partner's, even when it comes to lovemaking, even when it comes to everything that we're doing, right? So I actually, in my mind, I told her, I was like, look, not in my mind, but I actually told her straight up. I was like, look, if you want to do XYZ, I'm actually cool with that. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean, that's not a trick, like for me to go do something with somebody else, right? Because if I wanted to, I would have did it a long time ago. But that was more just for me knowing that we weren't living in the exact same geographic location. You know what I mean? But then after that whole situation kind of ended the way it did, I was just like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and see if I could actually do this. And I started exploring, and I started realizing that I had, say, at the time, Lord, this is gonna sound so bad. At the time, I had a polycule of 7 women, right? They all knew each other, and they all kept a Google Calendar to make sure that they weren't encroaching on each other's time. Okay,
That's efficient.
it's very efficient.
That's
but
cool
what
for
I,
them. But I'm sure that's wearing your ass out though.
but you know what, bro? I'm gonna tell you real quick. Between the time that was happening, it was a morning session and an evening session, right? And the way I do is the way I do. It's not me doing my thing for me. I'm doing it for them.
I hear you, bro.
Okay.
But
So what happened
hold
is,
on. But here's, I may interrupt you, but here's my thing.
Yeah.
If you got 7 people, 7 energies, right?
Yep.
That takes time.
But that's what I'm about. That's what I'm
But you
saying.
also
Though.
don't have, but when you get time for yourself, my G.
But that's literally what I'm saying.
Okay, my bad.
So yeah, it's all good. So essentially, the morning session and the evening session, right? But what happened after the first, like, I would say 3 weeks, 4 weeks of that, is I just got so tired that I was just like, I understand dudes think that this is cool, but this is actually not fun whatsoever. Like, being and having the bravado that I'm dicking down all these women, all this other stuff. I mean, that's not really, it's not fun. It's not cool. I mean, I get it if you don't have that, you want that. But when you actually have that, you will realize it's actually not only tiring, but you lose a lot of yourself doing that. And that's why I have that max cap rule for me now. And another thing too that I noticed, which is to go back to the question, I started noticing that I started developing strong feelings for 1 or 2 of the women that was completely outside of just sex. So the fact that it was like, I'm really caring about you. I actually want to talk to you on the phone. I actually want to do this. I want to do that. I actually do want you to stay behind, you know? But because of the arrangement, I couldn't just be like, oh, why don't you stay behind? Because that's not what they signed up for. They signed up for a specific thing, and that's what they were getting. So it just kind of opened my eyes to, maybe I should just cut this down and just have focused energies that are going to be specific to not just me constantly giving, but also me getting something back. And that's kind of where it all blossomed from.
Okay, so you said you grew up religious. I did.
Extremely religious.
Yeah. So my question is, I have a 2-part question. 1, are you still religious or spiritual? And 2, how do you balance that with your lifestyle now?
Yeah, so I'm actually just extremely spiritual, and I believe in people and the power of change and the power of happiness and joy and just energies, I don't believe that any one interpretation of a text or any one interpretation of somebody's dream or any one interpretation of someone's whatever should really be governing a mass body of people. But that's just my opinion. I also believe that no one should tell anybody else that what they believe is wrong, right? So if somebody's an Anglican, cool, rock out. Somebody's a Catholic, somebody's a Baptist, rock out, man. Just don't force nothing on me and we good, you know? So that's about the be all of that. So as far as me being, more spiritual and just, being more worldly, for me, it doesn't really pose an issue. It's actually something that's very complimentary, actually, because it allows me to not only explore energies, but it allows me to live in a way that isn't bound by someone else's rules.
So, man, you obviously you very open-minded, man. You talked about being, poly, your approach to women and creating safe spaces for them. A lot of people with your mindset. You also talked about, I wanted to come back to this, you talked about laying in the bed with a woman naked and
Oh yeah.
which I mean that's how a guy should be, right? But unfortunately a lot of guys can't handle that. Are you involved in other aspects of what people would consider quote unquote alternative, like going to nudist resorts and stuff like that, man? I mean, what else you got going on, bro?
Yeah, I actually I created one of the first, if not the first, modern day, uh, let's just call it nude community for Afrocentric folks, which actually spun off in a different ways by a multitude of people who all kind of took the idea and ran with it. But then I have a different components to it, right? I have one purely for pure nudism, and then I have another side that's more for BDSM, kink, and other people that want to explore their sexuality. Um, so what you'll see in more of the BDSM side is we'll go to places like, say, Secrets, or we'll go to Trapeze in Atlanta, or we'll go to Amsterdam, Red Light District, all that type of stuff, you know,
That's the
and
second
we have a
time.
good time.
That's the second time Trapeze got a shout out on Conversation After Dark. They need to start giving us some money. Yeah, me and Tay been there too, not together, but we've both been there, and you know, we both.
Yeah. So for me, you know, generally speaking, and this is what's real funny, I'll tell you, I want to ask both of you a question right now, and you're going to understand kind of my conundrum. Okay. I'm going to start with Marvin. Marvin, in the past year, 2022, how many women do you think I slept with?
You know what? I'm gonna say this. I would venture to say, since you said you got about 3 energies in your life, I'm gonna say 3, maybe 5, because I know that most people would assume a guy with your perspective and your opinion and approach to life that you just bagging all kind of women or whatever. But I know that people who have your mindset are probably more ethical than most folks, and they're more selective with the type of energy that they share with other people. So I would say about 3 to 5, maybe.
Okay. How about you, Tay?
I was gonna say at least 3. I was gonna say a low number 2.
Okay. Well, I'm very glad, because I asked somebody that question. They said 100, and I was offended. All right. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's totally cool if you want to explore that amount of energies, as long as you're being safe and living your life. But I very rarely allow a new partner into my sphere. Very rarely. And when I do, all of my partners know, and they're involved. And whether you know it or not, say if you're a prospective partner, whether you know it or not, we already had a conversation about you, because they already know from the past, because obviously it hasn't always been roses. They already know from past dealings with people that have joined that, you know, sometimes people try to come in and break us all up. Sometimes they're like, nah, you got to leave them other chicks and just be with me. Or nah, you got to do this, you got to do that. And it's like, nah, we are all one, and it's not happening. So generally speaking, you know, regardless of physical gratification, you know, looks aside, that's honestly not important to me. What you're bringing to the table as far as who you are as a person, your energy, and what you feel about life, how you treat other people, and ultimately how you treat, you know, your energy around others, the most important thing that I kind of look at, you know, if I were to take you on.
I saw this dude today on social media, and I think he is somewhat of a porn star. He's like an OnlyFans dude. And he was getting interviewed on a panel, and he said last year he had slept with 200 women. And I was just like, dang, you know, to me, that's a lot of risk involved. And then you talk about energy. I don't believe in soul ties. We've talked about soul ties before, because I feel like that's something that somebody created to manipulate women into not, you know, sharing themselves with other people. Like, oh, if you sleep with this man, you're going to create a tie that's going to last forever. I don't believe in that, but I do believe in, you know, like you said, the type of energies you have in your space. And 200 people, 100 people, that's a lot, man. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I tried not to be offended, because, you know, I don't ever want to be the person to look down on anybody because they are embracing their sexual self. I'm like, yo, go you, rock on, do your thing. It's just understanding the spaces that you're moving in and knowing, hey, like the example that I gave earlier, you can't really be 100% honest or out there with certain people, because they will brand you with a scarlet letter as a woman, you know? So a lot of times You know, guys don't actually get to see the amazing things that people like me actually do get to see simply because of that mindset. But if you kind of release that mindset, and if you really start being more accepting and less judging, you will come to realize a lot of people are exactly into exactly the same thing you into.
Hey, Tay, do guys get a scarlet letter? Like if a guy told you, like, hey, at one point I was with 100 different women, do you think women judge guys like that? Like women are judged?
Some women, but I think in this patriarchal society that we're in, I think a lot of women are lean more patriarchal than they want to believe, and I think women are more accepting of a guy who would say that than not.
Okay. You know, the other thing I noticed, man, in terms of like people being judgmental, you talk about, you know, the nudist, the naturist lifestyle, however you want to call it. I mean, I've taken a part of it, you know, because I wanted to challenge myself and put myself out there. And it always tripped me out. And it was, you know, like you was somewhat offensive. People would say, "Oh, you down there having an orgy and all that type of shit." I was like, "Nah, man, it ain't even about that." You know, I mean, you can do that if you want to, but being comfortable with your body around other people as God made it, it's not about screwing everybody that's in the vicinity when it happens.
Yeah, it's not sexual at all, actually.
It's really not, you know,
It's
because
not
most
at
of the
all.
time people are there and they're trying to work out in their own mind, like whatever flaws they think they have with their body or whatever they're trying to work out and be at peace, man. Do you hear that a lot, man?
Yeah, so whenever I have my trips, and this is just for the purely nature side, just to make sure I'm clearing up stuff for the audience, because I don't think I was 100% clear before. I am a multifaceted entrepreneur. I have a travel company that explores various different, various different parts of the sex economy. And I also have other types of things that I do, like say photography, that's like boudoir, nude photography, event photography, and a bunch of other things that spans a whole bunch of different facets. Okay. What we're talking about right now, specifically, would be the nudist component of a part of my travel business. And what I've always had to battle with or contend with is kind of breaking down those barriers for nudies to let them know that, hey, nudism is not sexual at all. If you were to go out to a nude beach right now, you'll actually realize that no one's looking at you. And in about 6 seconds, which I think has been the common theme, you will be so at home. You'll be like, wow, why didn't I do this before? You know? But at the end of the day, what you will realize is the things that you were worried about, when you get out there on the beach, you will realize, man, I don't know what I was freaking out about, because like most of these people are older than me. Most of these people don't care. They're out here chilling, having a cool time, and it's whatever. And even when it comes to the more sexual trips, the ones that are more focused on things like that, like say out the red light district, all that type of stuff, it's again the same types of people, different body types. It's just a whole matter of, there's no shaming, whether it's slut shaming, whether it's body shaming, or any type of other thing. Just kind of keep it to yourself, because this is a safe space and we want to preserve that right for everybody to have a good time and not feel judged.
Okay. So you said you're open about your lifestyle. So how does your family feel about it? Because I'm assuming if you grew up religious, it was because of your family. So
Actually, nah, I grew up religious because of myself. Actually, my family in and of themselves are not actually religious. They actually became, they actually started doing stuff because of me. But I actually am estranged from my family, so that's not really the question.
I think we know the answers to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because we ask all of our guests this question. On a scale of 1 to 5, what is your freak quotient?
I need you to define freak quotient for me.
So 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, where would you rate your sexual inhibitions?
Inhibitions? Oh, 5.
Okay, that's kind of
whatever. I'll do anything once.
That was obvious.
Yeah.
That's obvious. Yeah, for sure.
So what makes you a 5? Like what's the freakiest thing you've done?
The freakiest thing I've ever done? I would say the freakiest thing I've ever done, and this is not in a sex club, this is outside of a sex club, is a 16-person totem pole orgy in public.
Totem pole orgy?
Totem pole.
What's totem pole?
One person on top, person up here, another person on top, another person up here, and it keeps daisy chaining all the way around.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've heard of that.
So like everybody's doing like 69, but y'all connecting in a chain almost. Yeah, okay.
Okay. I didn't know that was called a totem pole, but
Never
learn
heard
something.
that. Yeah. All right. I would call that like a choo-choo train or something. What won't you do, bro?
What won't I do? I mean, I no disrespect to anybody that is, but I'm not interested in anything anal. Not interested in anything that's not heterosexual. That's just not me. I'm not really into that at all.
Yeah.
And anything that involves anything that involves inflicting blood, and that's inflicting blood. And I think the ladies know where I'm going with that. Anything where there's non-consensual pain, and anything where there's dealing with rape fantasies. That's my hard limit. I can't do a rape fantasy. I'm not interested.
Okay.
Motherfuckers really got that shit. They really got rape fantasy.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I don't.
That's just not. I'm just not interested.
I don't even want the ability to take my mind to that level. So yeah, nah, miss me with all that.
Yeah, and even with all that being said, I am actually not a dom by any means. I'm more in line with voyeurism and exhibitionism. And then of course from there, it kind of whittles down on my BDSM test. But a lot of people assign daddy dom energy to me, and I'm just like, nah, I'm just really confident in what I like and what I do, and I like to kind of oversee and make sure I'm, making sure everybody's good. Like for instance, if I take a group of people to say trapeze, right? I'm not going to engage with anybody. Instead, while everybody else is doing their thing, I'm basically standing guard to make sure that nobody kind of just jumps in and does something to people that they don't actually want, nor that they consented to. And there's been 2 times now, I almost caught a case having to knock somebody out for trying some slick stuff.
Wow. Okay.
That's admirable, because I always thought about like, because I've seen it. Cats almost get into, skirmishes. I'm like, dude, you at the swingers club. Why you fighting, man? It's all kind of ass and everything around. Like, what's the issue? But I can see cats, and that's why they don't really like single dudes just up in the bed, because cats don't know how to act, and they got to realize, just because they getting down in public, they still consent is still.
There's still consent.
Yeah.
There's still, you don't take your condom that you were just messing with this person with and then bring your dick over here with that same condom on and put it in this woman whose butt is in the air and she don't even know where you did or what you came from. So typically I'm security and condom watch. Like, no, if you're going to move yourself from one human to a next, change your damn condom. Stop being nasty, And then on top of that, let me paint a picture for you. So the last time we went, which is a few months ago, you had this one guy who came in and he was essentially stalking one of my people. He would literally walk around and follow her around to the point to where I had to actually do a little pick and roll with her. So old boy would kind of get off of her. Okay. So later on in the night, he came over to me and he's like, do you have a drink for my girl? But he said it real aggressive. So I had to pull homeboy aside. I was like, look, man, if that girl wanted to be with you, she would have been with you. So I'm going to need you to back off real quick or we're going to have a problem. Oh, we understood. He understood and never came back. But you have to have somebody around in your crew. And this is for anybody that wants to actually go to those places, is just make sure you have somebody that's looking out for y'all, because a lot of people do a lot of weird things. And the worst thing you want in your life is you go into one of these places and you take something home that you didn't account for.
You might just scare people from going if they was really.
I mean, that's life though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it seems that you've done a lot, But is there anything left on your is there anything left on your sexual bucket list?
My sexual bucket list. I've actually never been on a Mile High Club, have not done it. I mean, oddly enough, man, I'm actually kind of vanilla, you know, to be honest. There's a lot I have not done. For instance, I could say, well, no, that's not true. I have done a lot. By regular people standards, yes, I have done quite a bit. But I would say by the standards of some of the folks that I have hung out with and some of the people that I travel with, I'm a lagging behind a little bit because even on my own trips, I don't engage. I'm usually making sure everybody's good. I'm the person that doesn't drink to make sure that nothing goes down. I'm the one that's there in case the cops get called for some reason. I'm straight and sober and all this other stuff so that, you know, I could talk to them and make sure everything's good. And these are all things over the years that issues have happened that I had to learn year by year. Look, you're here, you're a facilitator. You actually cannot participate in none of this. And it is what it is. I'm cool with that. I'm very cool being that person, making sure I keep track of who engaged with who so that in the morning when you pull me aside and you're like, so did XYZ, XYZ? I'm like, yes, this happened first, then this happened for the second, then this happened third. Because a lot of people are very particular and they want to keep track of what happened because for their own personal reasons, that's totally fine, right? And they want to just make sure because they may know something that other people don't. And, you know, more power to them.
Okay. So I want to go back to something. So you say you're in the double digits. Have you ever
Here we go.
Oh, that was just a simple question. Have you ever run across a woman who was apprehensive?
All the time.
Okay. And how do you handle that?
Well, you have to be okay. So first of all, if you have a bat, you don't swing it as hard as you can. You slowly finesse it. You caress it. You swing it slowly. You make sure that you're accurate in your approach and you're powerful in your follow through. You don't take any wild swings. And on top of that, if you can get the job done with a medium stroke, there's no need to go all the way full tilt.
You got Marvin speechless over there.
No, what the fuck I'm gonna say?
No, I'm joking.
That's pretty y'all. That's pretty y'all, man.
That's cool. That's cool. So at the end of each show, we have this game we call nasty or normal. So I'm going to give you a sexual situation and you tell me if for you it's nasty or normal. So having sex with multiple people within a 24-hour period, is that nasty or normal?
I think that's normal. I mean, as long as everybody is aware and you're being safe about it and, you know, everybody's cool. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it could be at once, it could be a 24-hour period. It's whatever. I mean, gotta be adults about this stuff.
Do you have rules or boundaries about that? I mean, well, first of all, you said you got 3 energies in your life. Do y'all live in the same city?
Well, right now I actually only have one.
Okay. All right.
I actually, my last second energy, we're no longer together. So I just have one right now.
So when you are managing multiple people, do you prefer for everybody to live in the same city or do y'all live in separate cities?
It could be wherever. Here's the thing. A lot of people like to know they have that option. And a lot of people that I know travel a lot. So a plane ain't nothing but a thing.
Well, the reason why I asked that though is because some people aren't cool with like, okay, well, if you've been with somebody else, I guess they want to call it like a cooling down period, or you know, everybody has different boundaries or rules that they have in their poly-type relationships. So like, is that a rule or a boundary y'all discuss, or is it just like, hey, it comes with the territory where you know we all messing with multiple people?
The thing is, when you're in a committed polycule, you know specifically who is who and who's messing with who. And that's where communication and honesty is paramount, right? Because you don't want any issues specifically related to STDs or even other types of social things, or even unwanted pregnancy, XYZ to be happening, right? So when it comes to condom usage, when it comes to, you know, who's doing stuff raw, all that stuff is discussed. So it's not like, oh, I mess with this girl and then I gotta have a cooling off period to do something else. It's like, I might not even want to do that. Like, why would I do that? You know what I mean? But then on top of that, it's like, what is that really gonna serve? Am I gonna have a cooling off period of what, 3 days? As far as STDs are concerned, that does not matter. Like, what are you gonna do? Have a cooling off period of 2 weeks? Okay, cool. That works. Then things are gonna actually show up, whatever. We can get tested again and all this other stuff. But if you're not in a committed relationship, I could totally see people doing all of that. But if you are in a committed polycule, it's a little bit weird if everyone's being honest with each other, right? But if you see people not being honest, that's where you're gonna have a problem. And they also shouldn't be in the polycule if that's the case.
Gotcha. But man, I think this was a show. This show was a doozy, Tay. I mean, we didn't have some folks on here who kind of shocked us, but I think Brother D from Jersey kind of, you know, especially Tay, started talking about the whole bat reference. I'm looking at Tay was looking like we was on the 5 Heartbeats, and no girl was in the front row.
You gonna call me out like that?
Bro, I appreciate you, man. You want to shout out any of your business, man? You say you're an entrepreneur, man. You want to shout anything out or not?
Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram at Derek Madison Media. You could also go to derekmadison.com and you can see my photography business. The other stuff, you could just DM me on Facebook, and if you qualify, I'll bring you into certain spaces based on what it is you want to talk about. Oh, one more thing. On my Facebook, I've started to become somewhat of a relationship expert, which is pretty interesting. But a lot of people seem to inbox me, tell me some issues that they have. And then after, I just post it to my community because they're a bit more, you know, forthcoming and a bit more open, and they kind of want to talk about stuff. So generally speaking, I'm starting to find I have a lot of scarlet letters, I think it's called, or purple letters, I think the lady used to do on the radio. Strawberry letters, that, yeah. And you know, it's real interesting. You know, some people come to me with some real serious issues, you know, but usually it's something sexual in nature, and they know I'm not going to judge them, and I'm going to give them advice that's practical, not just, oh, you're an evil person, shame, shame, shame. No. This is life. Let's have a conversation. Let's work through this. And then I'll let the community talk about it. And then the community, you know, goes ahead and they give a little bit of advice too. So speaking of Facebook, Tay, I actually didn't realize we were friends already.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
Okay. You seen any craziness on my page that made you go,
No.
No? Okay.
Man, Tay said don't play like that. She bout it.
Hey, I'm not anonymous on here. Don't put my business out there.
My bad. Anyway, but you got a show called CVAD. Anyway, man, D, man, appreciate you coming on the show, man. Tay, tell them where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. If you want to be a guest, you have a suggestion for a topic, have any suggestion for Nasty or Normal, contact us at cvadthepodcast@gmail.com. And like this video, share, subscribe.
Yep. All right. We'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.